Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to continue to talk about how do we use a formula to find the volume. So we're going to check some examples here. Just quickly review about something we mentioned in previous video about the formula. We can use. So generally speaking, we really don't need to memorize a formula, but we also mentioned some important key factors when we see the formula. For example, when we see this V stands for formula where a volume, we already know that. For the general prism, when we see capital B here, it's not just base. The important part is about the base area, as I mentioned. So we just need to figure out what kind of prism we're working on, and we find the base area times its height. Then I will know that, okay? So, and also you can see that for pyramid, the only difference between pyramid and the general prism is 1/3 of the formula. Again, this B, capital B here, is actually base area. So do not just remember as base. Remember to find the area of the base, and we'll find out. So the first one we can see, the volume of, this is rectangular prism. As we mentioned, since it's a prism, so it's always base area times its height. One thing I want to remind you, since base area, base here is rectangle, so that's why it's length times width. So easy way to remember the volume of rectangular prism is length times width times height. So for this case, it's very simple. It's 8 times 3 times 2. So the answer is 48. Do not forget the unit, since each side is feet, and also we multiply feet 3 times. So this time is different from the area. Area is a square since I multiply 3 times here. So this is going to be cube. Feet cube. So this is how do we do that. One thing I want to remind you, if I have all the faces are square, then we call cube. Also, I want to remind you how to give you a quick tip. How do you do that? So how do we draw this? So sometimes we can just draw two, you can say something like that, like a 2 square, and then you just need to connect them. But one thing sometimes students might say, it did not really look like a 3D shape, just because we actually need to give like the one you cannot actually see as slash here. So that's why all you need to do, erase this one, make it like, oh, this is 3D shapes, okay? So this is just a quick tip of how to draw this. I mean, this is not exactly drawn to scale, but just one thing I want to remind you, if all the faces are square, then all the faces are square, we call cube. So as you can see, since length times width times height for the rectangular prism, for this one, each side, let's say we call A. Since this is square, so every single side is the same. So for this volume, we can just easily say as A times A times A, which is A to the third power, okay? This is just a quick connection. Again, as you can see, you don't actually need to memorize it. As long as we know this is a special case of rectangular prism, you can just know, oh, I need to time the 3 sides of this to find the volume. So next, we are going to explore something different. So for this one, we still have the formula here, and we can see this time we are talking about the triangular prism. So for this one, if we really go back, remember before we have this example here, so that one is like I put it down. So for this, it's like I put it down. So this is, as we know, this is a triangular prism. So we're still gonna do base area times height. However, there's one thing I will remind you. I want to ask you a question. You can pause here to think about this. So what is the height of this triangular prism? What is the height of this object? So that's my question. You can pause to think about this and come back to compare your answer with mine. So sometimes when we say height, students easier to think is from the bottom to the top. So you say, oh, this is the height of the triangular prism. So that's actually the common mistake we might make. When we see the triangular prism, you need to think about the distance from the two shapes that have the same one. So you can think the distance between the two triangles. Also, another example you can think. For example, people when they ask you how tall you are, and you can definitely we are thinking about from your feet to the top of the head, right? So even you lie down on the bed on the couch, people are not going to think, oh, you're actually shorter right now. We're still thinking about the distance between the bottom to the top. So for this one, you are thinking from this triangle to the back triangle here, the distance between these two. So that's why the height is 15 feet here. So that's why we are still going to think about this one, but we are going to think what is the base area. So I'm going to write on the side note here. So the base area for this, we know is a triangle, and in the previous video we know the triangle area is half times base. This base I'm going to use lowercase, and times height. This height, remember, is a height of the triangle. So the base area, this is a triangle here, so it's half times the bottom side of the triangle, which is 13, and also the height of the triangle, which is 11. Okay, so this is it. We can find the answer here. We can just use a calculator to quickly do that. So it's half times 13 times 11. So this answer is 71.5. So this is, remember, this is base area. So that's one thing I keep reminding my students. There's a common mistake regarding this base and this base. This base is talking about the triangle. So you only focus on this triangle. What is the bottom side? However, for this formula, this capital B is base area. And also another common mistake is the height. The height is talking about the distance between the two triangles, not the height of the triangle. So that's a common mistake. We're not finished yet. We are talking about the volume. So once we have the base area, this is capital B and times H. So 71.5 is our base area, this. And then we times the height, which is 15. Okay, so let's go back to our calculator. So we already have 71.5, we just need to times its height, which is this. So let's write down the answer, which is 1072.5. Let's go back to check again. Okay, and since this is a feet, so it's feet what? Yes, we times 3 measurement together, so it's feet cube. Okay, so that's one thing. Let me erase this one so you can see the measurement here. So please remember the common mistake we might make regarding the height of the object. Okay, last example. Okay, so as you can see, since we are looking at the triangle, so it's still gonna be triangular prism. So since we mentioned prism, it's still gonna be this one. So let's check this one. So since we're talking about the triangular prism, we are going to still focus on the base area times height. So let's check. The base area is going to be this triangle, and this time we are going to deal with special triangle, right triangle. So the base area is going to be, again, half base times height. So you can see this is a base side and times the height of the triangle. Do not forget that. So it's 4.5 times 5. You can do the mental math. You can also use Let's clear the one we had before. So 1/2 times 4.5 times 5. Okay, so this is 1125. This is our base area. And then we just need to times the height. Again, a common mistake is coming from, what is a height? Some students still thinking, is this a height is 5 centimeter? No, this height is the height of the triangle. We're talking about the height of the triangular prism. So we actually look at the distance between this triangle and the bottom triangle. Not really bottom, the other side of the triangle. Because if we lie down, which one this space is going to be depending. But anyway, so since we're talking about the distance between the two triangles, so we already know that it's going to be this one, which is 8. So this is our height of this object. Okay, so that's one thing. It's actually very easy to make mistakes. So let's find. So it's going to be capital B, meaning base area times height. So this is going to be 1125 times 8. Again, it's always a good idea to do the mental math. If you don't want to, then you can use calculator. So we already find the base area times its height. So the answer is 90. Okay, so now we write down this. So it's 90. Since it's 90, so do not forget the unit. We have centimeter, centimeter, centimeter. So we actually measurements, we times measurement 3 times, so this is our volume. So that's it. That's all the 3 examples I want to share with you. Please do remember the common mistake I mentioned before, especially when we deal with triangular prism, because a lot of times we are dealing with 2 heights here. This is the height of the shape, and this is the height of this 3D object. So that's one thing. Please do pay special attention to that. I hope this video is helpful, and please do more examples to make sure you can actually master this topic. Stay healthy, stay home, and stay safe. See you soon.